Today we're getting back to work on the Frankenstein Civic. Alright guys, so thanks for tuning in. We are back in the garage finally. We had a really bad cold snap for about a week there. It got down to like minus 40 degrees Celsius here. And today it actually went up to like plus 5. So it's been a great day. So finally back out in the garage. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button below. Make sure you give us a thumbs up and yeah, give us a comment below too, because we love to hear feedback from you guys. Alright, let's get into this. So like I said, we're getting back to work on the Frankenstein Civic. So if you're new to the channel, this is our 96 Honda Civic. It's a race car. It has an Acura EL front end swap done to it. Also has an H22 A1 out of a 94 Honda Prelude SRV. Today what we're going to be doing is installing all of these new front end parts. Well, not new, but they're all nicely powder coated and cleaned up and everything, and I got some Energy Suspension Bushings, new bearings, new ball joints, so we're gonna get this car driving like it's brand new again. So I'll flip the camera around quickly and show you what we got here. So if you remember last year, we picked up a white Honda Civic hatchback, and it had a lot of nice aftermarket parts on it, and also had a rear disc brake conversion, so we've already done that on the Civic. But now these are all the front end parts that came off of it. So we basically stripped all these off, had them all powder coated. So now what I want to do is swap everything here into Frankenstein. So I had ordered some new wheel bearings for these about a year ago already, because it was before I had them powder coated and everything. And it turns out they were a size too small. I didn't know it at the time, but I just found out the other day that these are actually from a Honda Civic SIR, or in the US it's a Honda Civic SI, or it could be from GSR as well. I'm not 100% sure, but that means that the wheel bearing is a little bit bigger. So I had to reorder wheel bearings, so I got them now. Also, that means the brakes are a bit bigger. The brake rotors themselves are about an inch bigger than the ones that I had. So that's pretty exciting actually, because I wanted to do a brake upgrade anyway, but now it turns out I already have it. So that worked out pretty nicely. So basically what I'm going to be doing is swapping all of this into Frankenstein now. So I got my new wheel bearings here. I got my ball joints here, which I'm gonna have to find someone with a press to help me put those in, because I still don't have one. And then I have a full set of Energy Suspension poly bushings. So this thing's gonna be riding really nice. It's gonna handle really good at the track. So I'm really excited. So let's get started on this. Alright, so we're going to start on the driver's side. I want to do one side at a time, and that way I will know exactly how it goes back together, because if I take everything apart all at once, I may not be able to put it together properly in the end. So if I do one side at a time, at least I have a second side for a reference. So basically everything that's up here has to come off, because it's all getting replaced. So the steering knuckle is new. The D2 coilovers I'm keeping, the strut forks at the bottom I'm replacing, and actually a buddy of ours wants these. He's building a dirt track car and he's missing a set of these, so we're going to sell him those. The lower control arms are also being replaced because I have the powder coated ones. So shouldn't be too bad, I hope. A lot of these parts I've had off of here recently, so it shouldn't be too bad. The only thing that I'm worried about is the lower control arm, because there's a 100% chance that these are going to be rusted, and they will not come out very easily because it is a Canadian car, and every Manitoba car has rust and everything on it will be seized. So that is going to be a big headache, I'm sure, but we just got to push through it and get her done, because I really want to get those other parts on there. So let's get to it. Alright, so I'm to the point now where I need to remove the bolts that I haven't removed off the car before. So these are the ones that I'm most worried about because chances are they're going to be seized on there or rusted or something. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to spray them all down with some penetrating fluid. And while I'm waiting for it to penetrate and possibly loosen up the bolts a bit, I'm going to start installing my poly bushings in the control arms. And hopefully by the time I'm done that, then we can start tackling underneath the car again. So everything else is out. The lower control arm is the last thing that needs to come out. And there's just a couple bolts from underneath. But like I said, they're the ones that I am most worried about. So I'm going to quickly spray them down and then get to installing some poly bushings. So I got the lower control arm penetrating. So what I'm going to do now is install these bushings. So basically I have the full set so that I can put a bushing here, here, and then in both of these as well. So these I'm going to have to clean up a bit because these I did not get powder coated. Due to the ball joints here, these are still brand new ball joints. They still seem to be in really good shape, so I didn't want to have to press them out. Just to get these powder coated, just to press them back in again. So I think these will be okay. No one's going to see them anyway. So I'm just going to clean this part up so the bushing can sit in there nice and smoothly. And the rest of them should go in pretty nice. These are already nice and cleaned up from when they got sandblasted and chemical bathed before they got powder coated. So basically this is the set here. So everything I need is in here. This one came separate for the lower shock bushing, so I had to buy a second set for that, which also came with these. I believe these are bump stops for the factory shocks, which I don't have, so I won't be needing those, but I mainly just need these ones. So I'm going to get to cleaning those up. We'll get these bushings installed, and hopefully by that time we can get the lower control arm off the Civic. Alright, so I've got both upper control arms cleaned up, and I actually got the bushings installed on this one right here. It was actually quite difficult because the bushings are quite a bit oversized compared to the holes in here. So what I ended up having to do was kind of stick one end of the control arm in the vise, and then I just applied pressure to it, and it eventually compressed it enough that I could get both bushings in there. So I did manage to get this one done, so I'm going to get started on this one now. It's already cleaned up with the Dremel, so I just have to compress the bushings in there. I recommend wearing gloves because the lubricant that these bushings come with, I thought it would just be like petroleum jelly or something like that, but it almost has a consistency of like tree sap, and I spent the past like 10 minutes trying to get it off my hands. So definitely wear gloves. I learned my lesson. I will be wearing gloves from now on. And let's get these ones finished. Alright, so here's where we're at. Both bushings are in on both upper control arms, so they are finished. I also went ahead and got the lower control arms finished as well. These ones are a lot easier to do because all you have to do is the bushings come in two pieces. You just slide each side in and sandwich them together, and then you stick the metal sleeve through the middle, and they're done. So these ones were a lot easier to do than the upper control arms, but they're all done now. All that I'm left with now is I still have the bump stops in here, which I won't be using, so I might be able to sell those to someone yet. And then these ones here, which I believe they're supposed to go up here when it's being mounted in the car, but these actually don't fit on there. I tried sliding them over and they don't fit, so I may not be able to use these either. But for now I have everything else installed, so I think I'm going to attempt to take the lower control arm off the Civic now. So it's been soaking for about an hour now, and I've sprayed penetrating fluid on it a few times. So let's get under here and see if we can remove some of these bolts. So I know this one for sure has to come out, and then from underneath I believe there's 3 more that have to come off. And I'm not sure, but I might have to remove the sway bar yet. I was hoping I wouldn't have to, but we'll see when I get to it. So let's get started. Alright guys, the control arm is out, and that was actually a lot easier than I thought it would be. I used a breaker bar and barely had to use any force on it and they broke loose, so I was very impressed with that. Used an impact gun to get them off the rest of the way, and they came off quite easily actually. They don't even look that bad, so I'll probably just chase them with a tap and die and they'll be reusable, so that's really good. That's basically all I have time for today, so I'm gonna have to end the video here, but got a lot more stuff to go yet. I think next time we'll start installing everything. I still need to get the bearings and ball joints pressed into the steering knuckles, and basically once that's done it's just going to be reassembly. So if the disassembly was this easy, I think putting it back together should be just as good. So I'm pretty excited. Got a lot accomplished today, a lot more than I thought I was going to, and it went a lot smoother than I thought it would. So if you like the video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. We got a lot more updates coming for this car and a lot of our other projects too, so stay tuned. See you next time.